Hello guys, hello friends, welcome back to another episode of Alpha Simulation. In this episode we are gonna cover three topics, but they all have to do with radio communication, telecommunication between pilots and cabin crew, and pilots and passengers. So the first one, pilots to pilots, is not going to be the difficult as long as you have the right software and the right hardware. And I have already an idea how to achieve that. And what I mean by pilot to pilot means that we will have a real headphones from real pilot headphones. You can actually use them in real airplane, and they will be able to communicate between them by not hearing the rest of the environment. The same way you can allow the ATC to talk directly into the headphones, or you can switch and remove from the headphones or go to the normal speaker. So we will do all that. The second one is pilot to cabin crew. This is the most, I think, difficult, because when I say cabin crew, of course, I don't have a real plane where I can have the cabin crew. What I mean is, will it be possible to connect a phone system in the cockpit that when I press the attend button, automatically calls the phone, for example, in my kitchen or in my living room, and then I can simply take the phone and ask for a coffee or anything. The cabin crew being my wife. Don't worry, she's not gonna watch this video. Actually, I think she's gonna tell, so I'm gonna be dead. But anyway, will be possible. I think it's possible. There was a little bit of thinking to do, how to come up with a system. First of all, I want a wireless. I don't want any cable between the phone in the cockpit and the phone outside and so forth. Bear in mind that the building where my cockpit is situated is separated from my house, so that there is no any wall attached or anything that you can just make a hole and pass through. And there was a lot of thinking to do, but that's what we're gonna discuss today in this episode. The third topic is about communication between the pilots and the passenger. For example, when you pick up and say hello, welcome on board, or blah blah blah. So that's, I think, is the easiest one to do it. So let's start from the most difficult, because if I can manage to do that, the rest are gonna be much simpler. So let's go with the second one, which is communication between the pilots and cabin crew. All right, let's start. How can we create a communication system between the pilots and the cabin crew? And cabin crew in this case will be somebody in the living room or in the kitchen or inside the house, which is about, I didn't calculate the distance, but it's over, I think, 50 meters or something like that. Okay, so completely separated. And the same way they can contact us. Now, the first things, I wanted to have an intercom system, and I wanted to give the phone, I don't know if you ever seen in the cockpit, is usually on the back. In the plane, the phones are very, very old type. They are quite square. They are not the typical modern phone that you can see. So I wanted to start with that. I want to find something that is very retro and wireless, and I found this. I'm showing you the first one. I bought two of them. They are in pair. It's an intercom system that works on 5 volts DC, 2 watts of power. They have a rechargeable battery, and they work on 433 megahertz up to 2.4 gigahertz in frequency, so you can go quite distance, but also very close. And the way it works is basically you set it up, you assign, for example, this is phone number 2 and that's phone number 1, and when I press, I can press number 1, the call button, and then the other phone will ring. And the same way for the other one, you press and this one will ring and you open. So this one will be, for example, attached. It's wireless, no cable, so it will be attached in my living room, for example, or kitchen area. Now, what I then have to come up is, how can I don't want to be in the cockpit and open this, press the button, and then the call. All I need to do, I want to press the button, and then the call will be my actual attend button. How can I do that? This is way is to swap the attend button that you have with a call button, but it's not that simple because the voltage is a little bit different and the signal is also different a little bit. What I just to cut the story short, because there was a lot of thinking, what I found out, I open one of the intercom completely, and I'm gonna show you now what I found out. Actually, I think it will be easier. All right, so let me show you a little bit. This is the phone that I dismantle. It doesn't have much of electronics actually, just a little bit of. But the important bits that I need is this little bits here. These are the button. Oh, sorry. These are the button for the number that you need to call. So it goes from number 0 to number 9, I think. And then this one over here is the call button. So you press the number of the phone, you press the call, and it calls the other phone. So I had to come out with a way to connect my attend button signal, bypassing this call, but act also as a call button. And I noticed something. This one, when you turn on the phone, like in this case, is actually stable at 3 volts. And when you press the call button, it goes to 0 volts and then it goes back to 3 volts. You press again, it goes to 0 volts and go back to 3 volts and so forth. I notice a similarity with my attend button. My attend button goes from 5 volts steady. When you press, it goes to 0 and then to 5 volts again. And then you press to turn it off and it goes to 0 volts and then 5 volts again. So it stays in, if we talk in the digital world, it's always 1. And then when you press, it goes to 0 but then back to 1. Now, by studying a little bit electronic here, I found out that actually when this one is pressed, the call button, all it does, it goes from 3 volts to 0 volts because it creates a short between these 2 points. Effectively, creating a short means I'm taking these 3 volts all the way to the ground, so creating almost a short of like a quarter of a second, and then bring it back to 3 volts. But the short is enough for me to send the signal to the other phone and let him know that I'm calling it. And in fact, I tested by simply creating first a short between these 2 points. So if I open this, I'm gonna show you now. Let's turn this on and let's turn the other phone. Let's see, maybe we can zoom out a little bit. Okay, so let's call number 1. I need to be fast for that to work. And now I'm gonna short the 2 points. There you go. And then this one you can open and close. Let's try again. I'm gonna contact number 1, short the 2, that's it. So that example showed me, actually demonstrate to me that by shorting the 2 points, I'm actually bypassing the call button, and I'm taking the 3 volts basically to 0. That's why I'm shorting them up. I'm grounding them. And it's exactly the way this switch works. I'm just doing it manually. However, very important for me to understand that, because I understand that in order for the phone to be activated, there must be a quarter of a second short. So basically I need to give them at 0 volts, they create a short. Now, why 0 volts? Because, and again, just to cut the story short, if you ever study electronics and Thevenin, you will notice that if you have a voltage and you want to use the Thevenin, you will replace the voltage with a short, basically a closed circuit. And that's because in an ideal world, when the voltage is at 0 volt, in reality there shouldn't be any resistance, and therefore you should have a continuity, like short basically. Now in an ideal world, in a real world, you don't have that, because there is the resistance of the cable, the wire, resistance of the generator itself, and so forth. You probably know this, but it's a very simple way to test this. Let me show you. Alright, so we have a power generator. At the moment it's at 0 volt, 0 ampere, so it's not giving me anything. And I have my multimeter, but the selector is at the diode, which is the in Italian we say cicalino. I don't know how you call this in English, but you know which one I meant. But it's the one that you use to test the continuity and so forth. Now watch what happened. So I'm connecting the red to the red, okay? And now to close the circuit, I'm gonna connect the black and the black. I'm just gonna give it like a little tap. It doesn't matter if I give a little tap or I just hold it, but listen carefully. We wait until it goes to 0 volt again. Check it out. So if I hold it, the resistance is actually increasing. It reached about 1000 ohms, and it's drawing about 1.09 volts. But I don't care none of that. What I care is at the beginning. Listen to the sound. You wait until it goes 0. So what's happening there is that the multimeter is, I'm giving them 0 volt, 0 ampere, right? So there should be anything. But the multimeter is detecting a very short amount of short circuit. And then after you realize, hold on a second, this is not short, it's just, I thought it was, but actually there is a resistance inside. And therefore, let me calculate, and I'll give you now the resistance, which is about 1000 ohm in this case, or a little bit higher. But then little things here at the beginning is exactly what my 10 button does. When it's 5 volts, it stays at 5 volts. When I press and it goes for a quarter of a second to 0 and then back to the 5 volts, that time that goes from 0 and back, 0 and back, 0 and back, that time is where the short is created for a very, very short period of time. And in fact, I don't wanna show it to you, but I can put the multimeter down, connect to my 10 button, and as soon as I press the 10 button, you will hear. Okay. Now, what all this means? What it means is that I found a way to have a small amount of short circuit, or ground, or zero, whatever you wanna call it, that comes from the signal coming from my 10 button, and that's all I need to connect it to my switch there on the two side, in order that when this short happen, it short the switch, bypassing it, and then call the other phone. So all I need to do now is set up everything in the simulator, and finger crossed it should work, because I just tested here and exactly works the same way in the simulator in terms of signal. So that's what it is now. Find a way how to make nice this, and everything works. Okay, we are back in the simulator. We installed the intercom system, and I will describe what I did. So what we have here inside the pedestal is a simple connector. They connect all the way under the simulator, all the way to this button here, the attend button. Now, the reason why I connect that is because I told you before, when I push the attend button, it will give me the little short that I really needed. So when I push the button, the short is gonna pass through the cable all the way to the connector, and then from the connector it goes into the modified phone. So we're gonna test now. All I need to do is to contact the other intercom system, which is already connected into the kitchen inside the house. I have two ways of doing that. One, obviously, pick up the phone, push the number and the button, and it will call. Or I can pick up the phone, push the number, and then call from that 10 button, which is more easier to do when you're flying now. So I'm gonna set it up, and then we're gonna have some fun testing it. Okay, let's give it a try. Let's try to call our cabin crew. So we select the number, and then we can contact from here.
Yes, Captain.
Yes, this is the captain speaking. May I have an espresso, please?
One coffee?
Yes, espresso, please. Thank you.
Okay, coming now.
Thank you. Okay, and then we can turn off. So let's wait until they contact us for okay, there we go. Yes, Captain speaking.
Yes, Captain, your coffee is ready. Can you open the cabin door, please?
Okay, cabin door is gonna be open. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's it. So we can now call cabin crew and have a coffee anytime we want to do it on a flight.